Good morning, welcome to Headline Focus here live on Core Politics with me, Rob Double. It is Tuesday the 3rd of April 2018, straight after the long weekend. Let's have a look at what's making the political news today. So one big story which broke yesterday evening, I think, from the Guido Fawkes website, is Corbyn and anti-Semitism and the row happening in the Labour Party at the moment. It is still growing and it's still hitting the newspapers and coming up with new lines, new stories and new complaints as well. So let's have a look at what was reported. Last night, Jeremy Corbyn, who's of course the Labour leader, attended a Passover supper of what's reported as a radical left-wing Jewish group called Judas. Now, they've reportedly criticised mainstream Jewish organisations, and also, according to Guido Fawkes in a blog post, they claim that the claims of anti-Semitism, the complaints around anti-Semitism in the Labour Party were, and I quote, the work of cynical manipulations by people whose express loyalty is to the Conservative Party and the right wing of the Labour Party. Now, John Woodcock, who's an MP, who's been historically pretty critical of Corbyn anyway, has tweeted saying the visit was irresponsible and dangerous. However, David Baddiel, who's a comedian, said that Judas were just Jews who disagree with other Jews, which means Jews. You know, so effectively, perhaps a storm in a teacup, this story over nothing, but at the same time, it's still causing angst and still causing a lot of noise from those areas of the Labour Party who are concerned about anti-Semitism in the party itself. Corbyn's spokesman has said he was meeting Jewish people from his constituency in a personal capacity, but the campaign against anti-Semitism has said that the attendance was a very clear two-fingered salute at mainstream British Jewry. Now, this follows a statement by Momentum. Momentum, of course, this big grassroots organisation, very supportive of Jeremy Corbyn, a statement saying that claims of anti-Semitism in the Labour Party cannot be dismissed simply as right-wing smears. And indeed, it's not down to just a few bad apples, but more widespread unconscious bias within the party and indeed the movement. Now, they've also said, and this is a significant part, the Momentum have said, that the Labour Party has failed to deal with anti-Semitism so far, part of that obviously being failing to acknowledge the scale of the issue within the party. Very interesting story, obviously off the back of a massive story which has happened over the past few weeks. No doubt some more lines on that as the day progresses as well. Next up, Michael Gove is back in the headlines announcing another environmental policy, this time to do with the ivory trade and ivory ban expansion by the government. Now, he's of course the Environment Secretary. He's announcing a big expansion of the government's ivory sales ban. The current restrictions on items manufactured after 1949 is to be extended to include basically all items, apart from a very narrow group of exceptions. They include items comprised of less than 10% ivory by volume and made before 1947, musical instruments made before 1975 and comprised of less than 20% ivory, so really minimal ivory content within these items. The government says the measures are the toughest in Europe, and the WWF agrees that they make the UK a global leader in tackling this bloody trade. Now, decision to drop ivory sales ban from the 2017 Conservative manifesto did cause some real costs for the party, particularly in certain constituencies. We'll see it got a lot of news at the time during the election campaign, really hit the Conservatives hard. This is seen by some as Michael Gove trying to detoxify the party in terms of environmental stances. And to be fair, a lot of environmental campaigners, whilst it's taken a while to be won over to the idea that Michael Gove is a serious reformer, have actually come around to the idea that he's making some serious progress in environmental policy in terms of improving the practice and government policy, particularly in terms of plastic bags, plastic bottles, recyclable disposable cups. Now the ivory trade, some real big policy initiatives coming through. This decision follows a consultation that received 70,000 responses, 88% of which favoured an extension of the ban. So again, Michael Gove back in the news, doing some good stuff for the environment policy. Finally, though, cancer screening warning. Now, this is an exclusive to the Telegraph. It's former Health Secretary Andrew Lansley reveals he has bowel cancer, but he goes further, as you can see in this headline. Budget cuts meant my cancer was not spotted. Now, he's basically said that his cancer could have been caught earlier if a screening programme he introduced had been rolled out nationwide. Now, he's referring to Bowel Scope. It's still only available in roughly half the population because of cuts to training budgets, or at least that's what he's saying in his piece. This basically, due to budget cuts, it fell outside the NHS's ring-fenced budget and therefore was cut back on and not extended. Now, he says, crucially in his Telegraph article, wrongly, in his view. Now, that's quite significant. The Conservative Party obviously been the party of austerity since 2010, cutting all areas of public spending, including to some extent the NHS, or at least parts of health spending and social care spending. So again, possible signs that there's a movement in the party away from the austerity narrative to more investing in public services, particularly the health service, which was such a key election point in the 2017 election. That's pretty much it for today. You're up to date. Don't forget you can find all the latest on what we're doing here on Core Politics on our Facebook page and on Twitter right here. But from me and all the team here at Core London, have a fantastic start to your Tuesday.